What's up, guys? It's Nick True, and today I want to talk to you about how to choose that very first credit card. Now, I got my first one when I was only 18, and since then I've gotten over 10 other cards. I know exactly what you need to know to make sure you never screw up your credit score and you never pay any money that you shouldn't be paying. So let's jump in. How do you actually choose what credit card you should get? There's just so many options. Well, before you do anything, you need to make sure that you're actually in the right spot. If you can answer yes to these next 3 questions, then you're ready to get your first card. Have you been working for over a year, at least part-time? Will you pay your bill in full every single month, always? And are you getting it for a good reason, like to build your credit versus, I just really need to buy this thing that I can't actually afford? If you answered yes to all 3 of those questions, then you're ready to get your first credit card. But if you answered no to even just one of those, then you can go ahead and skip this video right now because you're not ready. So for those of you that said yes, let's talk about it. How do we choose the first one? Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they get their first card is they either go to one of their favorite stores like TJ Maxx or Target, or they just go to their local bank and just get whatever credit card they have. The benefits of these types of cards just don't make sense for your very first one. Let me explain. When you get your first credit card, there are 4 very specific things that you want to make sure it has. Number 1 is no annual fee. Now, your very first credit card, you want to make sure you keep it forever. You don't ever want to cancel it. This is because the way your credit score is calculated, a big part of it is length of credit history. And if you cancel the card or you ever get rid of it, then it's going to severely hurt your credit score. And since you're going to keep this card forever, you want to make sure it doesn't have an annual fee. Your spending habits may change over time. You may start using it less. That's fine. You can put it in a drawer and use some other card down the road. You just need to make sure that your very first one doesn't have a fee. That's how you avoid paying money that you shouldn't be paying. Number 2 is a free credit score. A lot of credit cards still don't offer this every single month, which is mind-blowing. Back in the day, nobody offered this, but here recently, more and more credit card companies are giving you a free credit score with every single billing statement. Yes, there's some free software out there that even I use, like Credit Sesame, where you can get a free score every single month if you want to. But if you can find a credit card that's going to give you a free score every month, why in the world would you not take advantage of that? All right, so the third thing you want to look at when you're getting your first credit card is it a major credit card company? You have absolutely no idea what your spending is going to look like 10 or 20 years down the road. You might as well start out with a mainstream card that you know is going to be around and you know is going to have at least some rewards that make sense for what you're probably spending. Most of the time, local bank credit cards just don't make any sense at all. They don't have any good reward systems or any good incentives for you to actually stick with them. All of the mainstream credit card companies like Chase and Discover and Barclay and American Express have great cards for first timers, so stick with one of them. All right, the 4th thing you want to look for in your first credit card is decent reward categories. Now, this shouldn't be the first thing that you look for, but it should definitely be a consideration. Again, because you don't know how your spending is going to change over time, and because hopefully you're not spending the majority of your paycheck at Banana Republic every single month, you should probably just start with something that has a very basic, well-rounded reward category. Look for something that has rotating categories and stuff that you actually use, or like a gas and groceries card, or you can always just go with a straight percentage cash back on every single purchase. Okay, so now you know what to look for in a card, but the problem is you may not be able to qualify for those. So the next thing you need to look at is what can you actually qualify for? Since this is your first credit card, you likely fall into one of 3 scenarios. The first one is no credit history and no job. Now, typically this is going to be like a college student who is maybe working a little bit or not at all, and they haven't even started paying off their student loans yet. If this is you, you're going to have to start out with a secured credit card, and that's okay. A secured credit card is great to start building up credit slowly. Instead of like a normal credit card where you're actually borrowing money from the credit card institution to buy something and then you'll pay it back later, a secured card makes you put down money first to back up whatever amount. So you may give them $500 and then you're allowed to spend up to $500 on that credit card. And then you'll still pay it off every single month. That $500 stays with the credit card company for the life of that secured credit card. Now, unlike what I said earlier, secured credit cards are not meant to be kept forever. You'll use it for a few months until you've built up enough of a credit history to go and get approved for a real credit card. Once you're done with the secured card, you can cancel it and you get your $500 back. Now, as another side note, sometimes you can't even get approved for a secured card if you are in a certain situation, and you may even have to get a co-signer, like a parent, to sign on a credit card with you. See, back in the early 2000s, credit card companies were taking tons of advantage of college students, giving them like free t-shirts and pizzas to get them to sign up for a credit card, and then they'd hammer them with credit card interest. They had no clue what they were getting into. Back in 2009, a credit card act got passed that makes it much harder for college students to get approved for credit cards. The good news is you likely won't get screwed on a credit card, The bad news is, if you're trying to build credit, sometimes it's hard to get approved. So that's why if you don't have a credit history and you don't have much income, you're probably gonna have to get a secured card. Okay, so what about that second situation for people who are getting their first card? Well, you might have no credit history, but maybe you do have a part-time job where you're making a decent income. This is gonna be for a college student who's working part-time. Now, you're not making a killer salary or anything like that, but you're able to cover a small credit card payment of like $500 or $1,000. If this is you, there are some great student credit cards out there, like the Discover It student card, which is what I got when I was 18, or the Citi Thank You Preferred for college kids. Again, depending on how much income you actually have, you still may need a cosigner on this one. It just totally depends on your situation. But if you were like me and you had to work a whole lot during those college years, you're likely to get approved. Okay, so the third situation you're probably in if this is your first credit card. You have little to no credit history, but you're working full time. Maybe you're out of college, maybe you never went to college, but you have either a full or a part-time job and you just didn't ever get a credit card for whatever reason. Maybe you didn't want one, maybe you were scared of them, maybe you just didn't want to be tempted to not paying it back on time. For whatever reason, you don't have one, but you want one now. Now, although you don't have any credit history, depending on your income, you can likely still get approved for regular cards like the Discover It or the Chase Freedom. You probably won't qualify for any sort of big cash back or like special travel miles cards because those require excellent credit and you just don't have any history. But that's okay because remember, you don't actually want one of those for your first card anyways. You want one that has those 4 things we talked about earlier. Okay, so now you know the mindset you need to be in before you get a credit card, the features you need to look for in that credit card, and the situation you're in and the cards that you'll likely get approved for. But there's 2 more big things that you need to know before you apply for that first card. The first thing is that you shouldn't care about the interest rate at all. Like literally, it could have a 90% interest rate and you shouldn't care. Why? Because remember, you're paying it off in full every single month. The second thing you need to look for is I want you to dig in a little further into what you typically spend your money on and try and figure out what card might work best for your situation. Now, typically, I recommend the Discover It card to my friends when they're looking for their first credit card. It's the first one I got and it's been good to me. It always has pretty typical cashback categories that rotate every single quarter. Things like gas, restaurants, groceries, or Amazon during the 4th quarter for holiday shopping. It's a great starter card, has a really easy process for understanding how to get that cash back actually into your bank account, and it fits people's spending habits pretty nicely. I also like the Discover card because for the past 2 years, they've been running this promotion where if you sign up for one, they will double your entire cash back for that first year, which is pretty darn huge, and nobody else is doing that. Now, it also has all the things I mentioned earlier. It's a mainstream card, it doesn't have an annual fee, and they give you a credit score every single month. And if you're in those situations that we talked about where you need a secured card or a student card, they have versions of the Discover It card just for that. Like I said, I actually started with the Discover student card, which then became a regular one once I graduated college. Now, you don't have to use Discover, it's just what we use and it's what me and my wife have had a really good experience with. I also like the Chase Freedom, which has very similar rotating categories as the Discover card, but you can use it at Costco, whereas the Discover, you can't use at Costco. All right, so now you know everything you need to know to actually apply for that card. So let's do it. The process these days is pretty darn easy. Just gather your personal information like name, birthday, social security number, income, job history, etc. and go to the website and click the big apply button. Now, sometimes when you have no credit history, there may be a step after you submit where they're going to require you to talk to a customer service rep. Basically, they just want to verify that you're a real person. It's not that big a deal. They're going to ask you a few basic questions and overall it's pretty painless. All right, so now maybe a week has gone by, your new card has finally come in the mail. All you got to do is open it up and there should be like a sticker on the card itself. You can call it or go to that website and go ahead and activate that card. But it doesn't end there. There's 2 more quick things you should do to set everything up and make sure that you maximize your first credit card and get the most out of it. I want you to log into your new account, go ahead and set up your bank and payment information once you get everything activated. But I want you to go over to the alerts area. Now, this isn't just Discover, all credit cards can do this. I have all of my cards send me some special alerts, and I want to show you 2 of those real quick. I specifically set up an email 5 days before my payment is due. This way, I never ever forget to make a payment. I just log in whenever I get that email and then I schedule my payment. I don't ever get hit with late fees. I don't ever get charged interest. Just do this. It'll make your life much, much easier. Now, the other alert that I like to set up is I have my card text me every single time that I do a transaction. Now, with Discover, you can't do actually every transaction. The lowest it will go is only $1. So if a gas station like puts a $1 hold on the account, I won't actually get a text message. But other than that, basically everything I ever buy is over $1. And I like that because Hannah and I track every single transaction. This way, I just use the text to input my spending into the budgeting app, and I don't have to fool around with keeping receipts and messing around with that. So that's it, guys. Now you know how to choose that first credit card, apply for it, and get everything set up. Now, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this. And remember, I can show you how to choose the right credit card, but I can't make you do it. The choice is yours. I'll see y'all next time.